channel. Today's video is going to be my beginner's foundation routine, or my foundation routine for beginners. So I'm going to be showing you everything from the first step of priming to the last step of setting the base. Now I'm not going to be showing any contouring or highlighting or blush or anything like that, just because I've got my own separate video for that, which I'll link below. But I am planning on doing a new one for beginners because it's not so involved, so yeah. But yeah, let's get started. Yeah, so I've moisturised my face with my everyday moisturiser. It's just my day one, so yeah. But you can use any moisturiser that you guys use. Now to prime, I always find that not to prime is a crime. So I always add the step in because it just makes your makeup stay a little bit longer, and it makes your foundation and powders on top look more flawless as you apply them. I don't own that many drugstore primers, but there is one I would recommend, but I actually don't have it, but it is this is just on the website, hopefully you guys can see that. It's this Face of Australia HD Ultra Definition Primer, and it's in the turquoisey packaging, and this is like perfect primer for everyday wear, or if just to make your makeup stay a little bit longer, and that is $14. But what I have here is the Nivea Postman's Shaving Balm, whereas the Face of Australia one is 40 mils, this is 100 mils, and this is like $8, and it actually is like the best primer I actually own. Yeah, but it's glass, so if you're going to go travelling, I would not recommend taking this China bottle. I don't think it's glass, I think it's China. I love this primer. It makes your makeup stay on so much longer, and yeah, I love it. And so you can find it at Coles, Woolies, your groceries if you're not from Australia. You can find it Priceline, I think. You can really find it anyway that people sell everything. So yeah, I love it, and it's a great primer. So all you have to do, just pour out a little bit, rub it between my fingers, and then rub it on the face. Now I always use my fingers for primer, that way you can work into the skin, and that way you don't need to use your foundation with your fingers. And so I always just like wipe my fingers off with like a tissue after I use that primer. Now you have to work the Nivea Postman's Shaving Balm into your skin because it gets tacky after like you rub it in, and that's what adheres the foundation to the skin. If you're looking for a primer that makes your makeup stay on a lot longer than it would, I would recommend a silicone based primer, just because it adheres the skin, adheres the products to the skin. It's amazing. Now if you've got massive pores, what I would recommend is a pore filling primer, and then if you want, you can do double priming, so you can apply the silicone primer over the top of the pore filling primer. And if you've got massive redness, I recommend a colour correcting primer. Now if you're oily and you want like an oil free primer, the Face of Australia one is oil free and it's silicone based, pretty sure. Now on to foundation. When applying foundation, I recommend always applying it with a brush. This one's a tad dirty at the moment, but yeah. I recommend applying foundations with a brush. This is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. It's like $24 and it's quite cheap for an Australian brush. You can get it by itself. I know you can get some Real Techniques brushes in like a set, but this one you can get by itself, and it is amazing. You just have to almost drop that. You just have to buff it into the skin and the foundation just looks flawless and gorgeously blended on top. So yeah, for a beginner, I would recommend getting your foundation matched professionally by a person at Priceline or wherever you're getting your foundation from. Because when I first was looking for a foundation, I matched myself. But the thing is, I wasn't really good at matching myself. So when I first ever chose, I went for this colour, which you guys may not be able to see, but it's like 2 shades darker. It is D3W3 Golden Beige, and then after a little while I realised, because I blend this foundation, I blend all my foundations down my neck, after a while I realised it was just not the right shade for me at all, at all. So I went back and I tested myself, like, after I think I was wearing this for 2 years. And so after I was wearing this for 2 years, I went back and I had done a course in colour matching and everything. So I worked out that you were to colour match here, like on your skin and a little bit on the neck. And if you fake tan a lot, definitely on the neck or up on like your décolletage. Whereas when I matched myself to this W3, I tested it on my arm. And yes, it's probably too dark for my arm, so you do actually have to walk out of the stores with the foundation tested on your skin, because some foundations will oxidize, which means they'll get darker, and so you need to go a shade lighter. They may look weird when you first apply it, but when it oxidizes, it goes darker. And so if you're like a first full-time wearing foundation, I would recommend asking a professional at your stores to colour match you. Yeah, they don't mind colour matching you at all. After that, if you colour match yourself, colour match on this area, so that your jawline and chin area, just that area, that is where you're meant to colour match. But now that I've been talking on that forever, I'm going to apply my foundation, and this is the Covergirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation. Now this has SPF in it, so if you're going to be doing a lot of flash photography or like just taking a lot of photos, this foundation, not something you should wear. A foundation with maybe 10 SPF would be the highest I would go. Anything above a 10 SPF I would stay clear of if you were wanting no flashback. Now flashback is something that the camera gives back, so it gives you like a white cast when you have flashback, and it's just not pretty at all. So yeah, this foundation is quite well loved. I think I've almost finished it, just can't tell. But what I do, I always put my foundation on the back of my hand and then dip my brush in it, and I start on my jawline here, and then I start doing circular motions. So first you blend down the face in strokes, and then circular motions to blend it all together. Now I never go underneath my eyes, because foundation's just not meant to go underneath your eyes. So I just do it on my cheeks first, and then I go to the other side. Just in downward strokes. And I always go up on my cheek last. That way it blends more seamlessly together. And then we just do my chin, and then we blend this together. And then I just apply it to my nose, I start at the top and then blend around the sides. And I just pat it down and I just go around my mouth. It doesn't matter if you get it on the lips because you're going to apply like lips gloss or something over the top anyway. And what I do to get rid of the lines, I just swirl my brush around my nose. Then I go up between my eyebrows and then out. Then I just swirl it and then I just do my temples there. And then always ensure you get up in the hairline and on the ears. That's why I don't wear earrings when I do my foundation. Because, especially if you self-tan, you want to get all over your ear. And then after the ear, I bring it down my neck and then back a little bit. And then start from the jaw here. Blend it down the neck. And then just with like leftovers, I blend it down the neck. Now you can still see a little bit of redness on my cheeks. So what I do is I just grab a little bit more and just apply that to my cheek there, just in downward motions and then a little circular. And then whatever product is left on the back of my hand, just grab a tissue. It's usually the same one I wipe my hands on with the primer. I just take it off. And I just go over my face. So I just go over the face a little bit to clean up any edges. And then we go on to concealer. Now, I always go for a concealer that's a little bit lighter than my actual skin tone, just to highlight underneath the eyes. Now, because the foundation was full coverage, we don't need any extra product on to cover any blemishes. Because as you can see, this blemish here, it's pretty much fully covered. If you wanted, you could apply a little bit more coverage over the top with the foundation, but I don't think it needs it. So I just go in with a concealer. I've heard that the Maybelline Fit Me is really good for underneath your eyes, but see, the lightest colour they've got is my skin tone, so that matches my skin. So yeah, that's the Maybelline concealer. So as you can see, it matches my skin, so I would use it to cover up any blemishes if I needed to, but I don't need it today, so I'm not going to. But yeah, I've tried and looked for drugstore concealers that are lighter than my actual skin tone, but I haven't really found any. Like, this is the closest one I found, and they don't actually sell this in Australia. It is the Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer. So I love this one, but they don't sell it in Australia. They sell it basically everywhere else. But I love the Urban Decay Naked Concealer, or I think that's what it's called, or the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. Those are my two favourite concealers for underneath my eyes, as well as the Tarte Creaseless Concealer. I am looking for a drugstore concealer that can go underneath my eyes. Now, I have found one that was Maybelline 24-hour one. It matches the foundation. I did a first impression on the foundation, I'll link that below, but I also used the concealer in that also. But eventually I found that it stung underneath my eyes, so I chucked that. It was just not really pretty, so I chucked that one. Now, so I'm just going to go in with the concealer. It's just going to go underneath my eyes. Now, your under eyes is the most delicate part of your face, or delicate piece of skin. So I just lightly do it, and I always go up into the inner duct area here, and then go right underneath the eye. And I just do them one at a time. And then what I do then is I go in with my finger. I usually just use any finger, really. Doesn't really matter as long as you go really softly. And I blend it out. Just in soft motions. As you can see, this one has a little bit more there, so I'm just going to add a little more. I always like to do a little triangle. I also like to put it on my lids just so they've got some coverage. And I blend it out with my finger. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then whatever's left on my finger, I usually run down my nose and then wipe it off on the tissue. So after blending it out with your finger, usually looks like this, and you don't like to leave it like this. So what I do is I like to blend it out with a brush. Now I've got two brushes here. One is the Real Technique setting brush. Now you can use this to set the under eyes, or you can use it to blend out your under eyes. And I also have the Sigma F86, and I love this brush. I want to see if I can find like maybe a drugstore sort of version like this, or you can use the point of a beauty blender. But for the purpose of this video, we'll go with the Real Techniques brush because it's a drugstore and you can find it at any drugstore. So what I do is I start from the ends here, in the inner corner, blend it out, and then just blend it down my nose, like the side. Circular motions is good. There's very little blending that you have to do underneath here because we go back in with our fingers afterwards. I just like to blend out the edges and what's on the eye. And then I just also do it with my nose. I just go up and down, and then I just go back in with my finger and I blend out the lines as much as more as I can. To set my under eyes, I go in with the Australis AC on Tour palette. Now this is the light one, I'm pretty sure, and I use the banana shade and the beige shade. So those are the two colours I use. Now I do know they've got the banana shade separately, so I'd just buy that one. Just buy the banana shade because you don't need this shade, but because it's in the palette I use them both. I sometimes will only use the banana shade also. So yeah. And to set it, I use my Sigma F35 brush. Now I know models prefer have a brush like this. It's a tapered brush and I love it, and I would recommend you going and buying the tapered one from Australis, from Models Prefer, because it's just the best. So I just grab the banana shade and then I blend out this with my finger, and then I look up and I set it, and then I'll go in with the beige shade and I just go still a little bit lower than the last one, and then I'll mix the two and bring it all the way down, and then I'll just go in with the beige shade by itself. I just apply it on the eyelid. Now you can set the concealer on the eye with whatever you like, but that's just what I do. So just with the banana shade again right underneath the eye, and then the beige shade just underneath that, and then a mixture of the two, and then the beige shade on the eyelid. Now I'm not going to lie to you, but I don't really use any of these contouring shades down here. I do use the highlighting one on the occasion that I feel like it, but I've got so many highlighters that I tend to just gravitate towards them. It's a good palette. Now I would really recommend, yeah, you could use these two contour. This one's probably a really good contour, and these two are bronzing shades. And so then you've got your highlighter there. If you guys want, I can do a video just on this palette, using it to set the under eyes, highlight and contour. And then to set the whole face, I will either use a translucent powder, a pressed translucent powder, or a coloured powder. Now the coloured powder gives a little bit more coverage, but seeing as I have a really full coverage face on right now, we don't need full coverage. More full coverage. So I will just go in with the Rimmel Stay Matte powder. Now this is a step I do not miss, just because it makes your makeup stay that little bit extra longer, and it keeps me matte throughout the day. Now just using any fluffy powder brush is good, because all you need is just a brush. And I recommend patting the pressed powder in, not buffing it in, because you're buffing the product off. That is my finished foundation routine, beginner's foundation routine. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope it made applying foundation, concealer and all that easier and more understandable. So sorry if this video is way too long, but just what it has to be when you're explaining all these things. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give a big thumbs up, and if you guys do these techniques, then just let me know. And if you guys want to see any more videos like this one, then just leave me a comment below and I'll do that for you. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, give a big thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel because it means so much to me when you do. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks guys.